Steve Walden, and as I said earlier, we go back quite a long time. I knew him briefly on the North Shore. It's probably over 10 years ago when he turned up over there and started surfing and hanging out at Rocky Point. He was telling me a story the other day about how he got into longboards, which he loves to shape these days. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Peter.
You were telling me that story about how you dug up this old Hobie longboard. What got you into that?
Well, when I moved to Rocky Point in about 1974, the house we had been occupied by some other surfers at different times, and there was an assortment of broken in half boards from Sunset and boards that had hit the reef. Just, you know, they just kind of were down there, and I found this old Hobie longboard, and so the nose was broken off. I put it back on, and in between good surf sessions, you know, you just want to get out in the water because it's just so nice, and I started riding the longboard, and I found out that it was a good break, and it started really attracting me. I started really getting some good waves, you know.
So how long was it before you actually then said, well, I might shape myself a new longboard?
It wasn't long. It was a lot of fun, and so I had been in the surfboard business here in Huntington Beach, and when I moved to Hawaii, I started into it, and so it wasn't too long before I started making my own longboards right away.
You've been in the business for a long time. You were telling me, you know, you did a bunch of shaping for Al Merrick for Channel Islands, and you know, you've been doing different things. You delved into sportswear there for a little while in that business, but now you were saying you're getting back into the surfboard business again, and you really want to get into longboard design.
Yeah. When I moved here from Hawaii about 5 years ago, I was into sailboarding like Jay is now, and it was quite rewarding, but where I lived, the wind wasn't quite as prevalent. You know, when you go down there and you'd bring your surfboard and your sailboard, and you wind up using your surfboard more, it just kind of attracted me. But I started developing my longboards even more, and started my particular style of surfing is one that I enjoy surfing it more like a shortboard, more of a performance type, and a lot of nose riding and that sort of thing, making it lighter, faster, and trying to make it more maneuverable, because that's what it's about, faster and looser. And so,
but you have here in California, say versus Hawaii, you have the classic longboard waves here, though. I mean, you have the points like Trestles and Malibu, and a lot of good beach breaks. What are some of the things, you know, you're saying lighter and faster and everything, but what are some of the things that can make a longboard be lighter and faster?
Well, there's basically two directions that I believe that longboards go in. You have the traditional classic vein, which is essentially the 50-50 rails, very little nose rocker, and just kind of the old style out of the 60s. I have started combining a lot more the current shortboard designs where they have evolved from the longboard and putting them back into the longboard, so thus trying to develop it. They have basically a...
Like this one we've got right here.
Like this one here. This one actually evolved out of Hawaii in about 1975, where you want to ride the nose, but the waves are so quick and hollow that you can't have the width in the tail, and so I pulled in the tail and then put essentially a different nose, a fuller nose on it, so I was able to ride the nose.
It was like two surfboards.
Two surfboards in one, exactly, and that's where this came from. But also along that line is just doing a harder rail. I've increased the rocker and just fine-tuned, made them a lot thinner, and of course the weight makes a big difference in it.
You know, there seems to be, as Jay and I were talking about a little earlier tonight, a resurgence in the longboard contest scene, and even though it doesn't have the intensity of, say, the ASP, it seems like it's a real good vibe. And when you look at somebody like a Donald Takayama, he seems to be doing quite well from making longboards only. I don't even ever see a Donald Takayama shortboard.
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I'm going in myself. I enjoy longboarding. It's what I've been doing since '74, pretty much solid, over in Hawaii and here. And although I do some shortboards and sailboards, my heart is in the longboards. That's where I put my design energies into, and that sort of thing. And it's kind of become a hybrid longboard, where it's evolved so much over the last few years that it's nowhere near where it was, you know, let's say when I was in Hawaii back then.
Well, guys, see this one up here? This is for me, and I'm going to test it out. So we're going to get out there and ride a few waves. Well, thanks for coming on the show and telling us a bit about what you're up to.
You're welcome.
We're going to go and look at some classic long